And good evening, commissioners, staff, and citizens. Today, August 9th, 2021, and this is our August 9th meeting. So first of all, I will read a public charge. I can get to here. Let's put the glasses on. So, the Board of Commissioners asks its members and citizens to conduct themselves in a respectful, courteous manner, both with the board and fellow citizens. At any time, should any member of the board or any citizen fail to observe this public charge, the chair will ask the offending person to leave the meeting until that individual regains personal control. Should decorum fail to be restored, the chair will recess the meeting until such time that a genuine commitment to the public charge is observed. So if you will join me, commissioners and staff, in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So, commissioners, are there any adjustments, any agenda adjustments? Commissioner Jacobs.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to suggest that item 21-0491, which is about the Durham County language equity policy, program, and resolution, that we actually read the resolution during our ceremonial items, rather than it just being on the consent agenda and not being actually read as we usually read our ceremonial items.
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs. I have it pulled to read, so that is going to happen.
Great.
Well, my agenda is under ceremonials already, so it's not on consent agenda.
Yeah.
Right. So
awesome.
sure
it will. That will happen. Thank you for your suggestion.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, now we'll move on to our announcements. If there's nothing else, commissioners, and we'll ask our clerk, Monica, if she will read the announcements.
Good evening, commissioners, county staff, and citizens. I will begin reading the announcements for tonight's meeting, and also just remind everyone that some of the email addresses that will be read will also be included in the minutes, as well as on the county the county website. Durham County Back to School Bash. Join us at the Durham County Back to School Bash on Friday, August 20th from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. at the Durham County Memorial Stadium for free food, school supplies, haircuts, and more. Bring your child to get their COVID-19 vaccine or get vaccinated yourself, and get a free $25 Visa gift card for each person who takes the shot, plus an additional $25 gift card for driving someone to get vaccinated. DECO Public Health COVID-19 Vaccine Clinic Hours. The COVID-19 vaccination clinic hours at the Department of Public Health have changed. The new hours are as follows: Mondays and Wednesdays from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m., Tuesday 9 a.m. till 6 p.m., and they are closed on Thursday and Friday. Appointments and walk-ins are welcome. Please visit www.decopublichealth.org/COVID vaccines. 2021 annual property tax billings. Decode Tax Administration will begin mailing 2021 tax bills to county property owners on August 13th. The 2021-22 solid waste decals will also be enclosed in those tax bills. Taxes are due by September 1st, but must be paid by January 5th, 2022. Please note that citizens will have the option to make partial payments on real property taxes, and additional information can be found by visiting www.dconc.gov/tax or call 919-560-0300. Apply for Durham Pre-K today. Are you looking for pre-K for the 2021-22 school year? All families with children that will be 4 years old on or before August 31st can apply. Applications can be found at www.durhamprek.org, and you can also call if you have questions or need assistance. It's 1-833-733-5338. You can also email prek@childcareservices.org. Program offerings at Durham County Cooperative Extension. The Durham County Cooperative Extension Program offers a wide variety of events during the month of August. There were way too many to list here for me to read out, but you can visit www.durham.ces.ncsu.edu. Or you can visit the Durham Extension Facebook page for additional information. EBT benefits expanded for children under 6. The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services has expanded the EBT benefits to more than 230,000 additional children under the age of 6 years old. For more information, please visit the ncdhs.gov/PEBT website for additional information. Durham County Register of Deeds. The Register of Deeds has moved vital records to appointment only, but will continue to take requests online. You can visit dconc.gov/ROD. You can call 919-560-0495, or you can email rodvitals@dconc.gov for additional information. Durham Emergency Communication Center wants you. Are you looking for a meaningful, rewarding, high-energy environment? If so, this job is for you. You can apply at www.bit.ly/911jobs for additional information. Durham County Convenience Site Hours. A reminder to all Durham County residents of the new hours for the county's 4 convenience sites. Parkwood is Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tuesday and Thursday, 10:30 a.m. till 6 p.m. They are closed daily from 12 to 12:30. Closed Saturdays and Sundays, with the exception of the second Saturday of each month. They are open from 7 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. Bahama, Rougemont, and Redwood hours are Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. till 6 p.m., Saturday, 7 a.m. till 12 noon, and they are closed on Sundays. Additional information about the convenience sites can be found at dconc.gov/recycling. And lastly, the main library is now open. Great news for everyone in Durham County, as the main library in downtown Durham, 300 North Roxborough Street, has finally reopened. The renovated and state-of-the-art facility opened its doors to the public on Tuesday, July 20th, and is ready for everyone to enjoy. Hours for the main library in all branch and regional locations except Bragtown are as follows. Monday through Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. till 8 p.m. Thursday through Saturday, 9:30 a.m. till 6 p.m., and they are closed on Sundays. Hours for the Bragtown branch are Monday, 1 p.m. till 8 p.m., Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. For additional information, you can visit the durhamcountylibrary.org website. And that concludes the announcements for tonight's meeting.
Thank you so much, Monica, for reading the announcements for us. Are there any other announcements by any of the commissioners? Okay, the next, Commissioner Jacobs, you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I know you can probably elaborate on this, Commissioner Howerton, but I just wanted to mention the mask mandate for public spaces that goes into effect at 5 p.m. today, and I assume that there will be more information on our website about the details about that, and also go ahead.
Yes. So Commissioner Jacobs, we will make an announcement and talk about that, but I decided to wait until we have the update from the health director and discuss it at that time, if that's okay with you.
That sounds great. And I also just wanted to mention in regards to the eviction moratorium that we currently have an extension from the federal government, and I just want to share our DSS staff have now dispersed as of August 6th, from June 1st through August 6th, $3,308,694 in aid, and they are really working very hard to process the thousands of applications, and also have open lobbies for in-person appointments, and have placed 2 social workers directly at the courthouse to work with judicial staff to divert evictions of tenants and to work directly with landlords. So I just want to encourage people in our community to please still be patient. Our landlords also can apply directly for this funding as well. And there's more information at the website, Durham ERAP, ERAP.dconc.gov. And also tenants and landlords can call the DSS phone number, which is 919-560-8000. Thank you.
Okay, so at this point, we're going to move on, commissioners, to our minutes. We have before us May 18th, May 27th, June 3rd budget meeting, along with June 7th work session, and the 28th regular session meetings to be approved. Are there any comments or any edits to any of those minutes? If not, I will ask for a motion.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Byrne. And second, Commissioner Long. Okay, we'll have a roll call by the clerk.
Commissioner Alam.
Aye.
Commissioner Burns.
Aye.
Commissioner Carter.
Aye.
Vice Chair Jacobs.
Aye.
Chair Howerton.
Aye. Minutes approved 5-0. That brings us to our ceremonial items. And before we get into the first ceremonial items, I think it's befitting for us to acknowledge our County Register of Deeds and her international leadership role. These roles are not easy, that we take on an international role. And I think that it's befitting that we honor Sharon Davis and that she has earned this title, and allow her to say a few words. Sharon, if you'd like, if you're on.
question. I am not sure if Ms. Davis is on the call. I do not see her listed here.
Okay. Well, just to honor her anyway, that Sharon is the IGO first president serving in this role of the National Register of Deeds, international leadership role, and I just thought it was befitting that we acknowledge her. And if other commissioners have anything to say, yeah, thank you. All right, the next item is 210451. Durham County Sheriff's Office received a Triple Crown Award from the National Sheriff's Association for achieving accreditation from the top 3 accrediting agencies for the Detention Center. And the board is requested to recognize this award presented to Sheriff Burkhead by the National Association. And do we have Sheriff Burkhead on the line?
Madam Chair, this is Chief Deputy Whitted. The sheriff is currently at a community engagement program, and he's sorry, but he's unable to attend, so I'm in his stead.
Okay.
First of all, I want to thank you and the board members on behalf of Sheriff Burkhead. I want to thank you for acknowledging this great accomplishment. It was not a small feat by no means, and it took quite a bit of hard work. Our employees there are the backbone of our agency. And I will stop now and let Lieutenant Hardigan, which I am quite sure he's on the call, speak further on the ACA and see exactly, and he will let you know more exactly where we stand. Lieutenant Hardigan.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Thank you very much for honoring the sheriff for this accomplishment. The Durham County Sheriff's Office is an accredited agency through the Council of Accreditation for law enforcement agencies for the law enforcement services that it provides, and has been since 1998. And the National Commission on Correctional Health Care is the accrediting body which oversees the health care that our detainees inside of our detention facility for the health care that they receive while they're in our care. And then, last but not least, the American Correctional Association, which just in January accredited the Durham County Sheriff's Office Detention Facility, as an adult local detention facility. And because of that, Durham County Sheriff Clarence Burkhead was honored at the National Sheriff's Association conference in June as one of 49 sheriff's offices in the state around the country which have received the Triple Crown for achieving accreditation in those 3 areas. There's 3,081 sheriff's offices in the entire country, and Sheriff Burkhead and the Durham County Sheriff's Office is, 49 of that 3,081. And what's more is the Durham County Sheriff's Office and Sheriff Burkhead are the second in the state of North Carolina to receive the Triple Crown from the National Sheriff's Association. So it truly is an honor to be part of a Triple Crown accredited agency, because we're not just meeting the standards that are set nationwide and they're accepted throughout the industry in both corrections and law enforcement and correctional health care, but we're also exercising transparency by having our compliance verified through third-party organizations. So it really is a rare thing for an agency to receive the Triple Crown from the National Sheriff's Association, and it's quite an honor to be a part of that agency.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, that it is an honor, and my congratulations to all of you, because that didn't happen just with one person. It took all of you to make that happen. And for me, I say congratulations, and I want to see if the board has anything that they would like to contribute as well. Have any comments or Commissioner Lum?
Thank you, Chair Howerton, and thank you so much to Deputy Whitted and Lieutenant Hardigan. I just wanted to see, I saw that Sergeant Cusher was also on the call, so I wanted to see if they wanted to add anything as well.
I guess the biggest thing is we had the other accreditations for a while, so I guess we're the new awarded area that the agency, with the jail being accredited, which was a pretty big feat. It's no secret that we're really short on staff, and our staffing is low, and to accomplish it during COVID, during short staff, that was a pretty big accomplishment, and we really pulled together as a team, and it was a big effort, and really just proud to be a part of that.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Burns?
Mine is really quick. One of the things that I think that stuck out to me the most when I read the citation was that out of the 3,081 law enforcement agencies that we have, you stated it was 49, but it's only been 49, not this year, but 49 since 1993. So like that's overall. And Sergeant Cusher, you mentioned, during COVID, one of the citations is for correctional health. So to kind of pick up that accreditation during a pandemic with limited staff is even more so impressive, because I remember even before I was on the board, oftentimes you all would give updates about your COVID testing and what you all were doing daily. So I think that that's an even more impressive feat that you all were able to pick up that accreditation, and we were going through a pandemic. So bravo, send everybody our love, and thank you for, as always, trying to make us look good in difficult times.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Anyone else? Okay. All right. If it's nothing else,
Commissioner Carter's hand is up, I think.
okay. I was seeing that Commissioner Jacobs was trying to say something, and I was looking that direction. So Commissioner Carter, you want to go?
Yes, thank you, Chair Howard. And I just also want to lend my voice to the chorus of congratulations to the sheriff and to Lieutenant Hardigan, Chief Deputy Whitted, Sergeant Cusher, who are here with us tonight, and to say thank you and congratulations to all of the staff within the Sheriff's Department, and really appreciate this commitment to professional excellence through accreditation. And I believe that living up to these standards that you have to meet in order to be accredited is essential to protecting the safety, the life, the health, and the rights of our citizens. And I just thank you for going the extra mile, many miles, and to be in the 1% of all sheriff departments nationwide is pretty uncanny. Congratulations and thank you for your commitment.
Thank you, Commissioner Carter.
Okay. Commissioner Jacobs?
I think all the important points have been said by my fellow board members, and I just want to also congratulate the sheriff, Chief Deputy Whitted, Sergeant Cusher, Lieutenant Hardigan, and really every single staff member in the office of the sheriff, whether you're involved in the detention center or law enforcement, because the reality of this is that it is made possible by each and every staff person, and the work that they're doing and the high standards that they are following every day. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacobs.
And I guess the one thing that Sergeant Kushner mentioned, when you can accomplish this kind of award with short staff, it really says something extraordinary. So again, thank you for all of your hard work.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Right, we'll move on to the next 210484, the resolution Durham Digital Equity Plan. And I have a resolution. The board is requested to resolve to adopt the Durham Digital Equity Plan. We have Tammy Baggett Best on the line to receive the resolution after the reading and share additional comments. So the resolution states, Durham Board of County Commissioners Resolution, Durham Digital Equity Plan. Whereas Durham County envisions digital equity and inclusion for all people who live, work, and thrive in the city and county of Durham, North Carolina. And whereas Durham County supports digital inclusion efforts to provide access to digital skills, training, technology, and affordable internet services to support health and wellness, education, and economic goals. And whereas Durham County endorses that digital equity impasses that only internet access, but also access to current appropriate hardware and software in working order and training to develop digital literacy skills. And whereas access to these resources should be equitably available to all in the county of Durham and adapted to residents. Diverse needs, skills, identities, languages, disabilities, and abilities, life stages, and experiences. And whereas a digital equity plan should ensure inclusion, access to allow all residents to fully engage in today's digital society. And whereas the Durham Digital Equity Plan's goals are to, number one, expand broadband access and adoption. 2, increase the number of people who have a device that allows them to participate fully online. 3, increase digital knowledge and skills among all groups in the community to encourage lifelong learning. And 4, implement and access the outcomes of the Digital Equity Plan. And whereas the Durham County Board of Commissioners desire to approve and adopt a formal digital equity plan for Durham County. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Durham County Board of County Commissioners, do hereby resolve to approve and adopt the Durham Digital Equity Plan. This, the 9th day of August, 2021. And the commissioners will sign. It's Tammy, it's on the line. There you are, Tammy Baggett.
Yes, thank you. And thank you to the entire Board of County Commissioners for accepting this and receiving this information tonight. Laura Fogel is the founder of Digital Durham, and she deserves all the credit and appreciation for her work at this space. She has worked closely with staff members Terry Hill, who is the deputy director for the library, and the manager of Main Library, Claudia Toombs, and Jason Howard, who will also be working more in this space. They have worked tirelessly to make sure they can do all that's needed to work on the equity and access of digital needs in Durham County. So I'm going to ask Laura Fogel, I know she's on the call, if she would share a few comments related to this. This is her baby, her passion, and I think that will come through clearly tonight in her comments and all the work she's done with staff. Laura?
Thank you so much, Ms. Baggett. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and your kind words. And It's been such a, continues to be an honor and a pleasure to partner with Durham County Library as a leader in this digital equity work in our community. And we all saw how important digital access was over the past 18 months, and it really continues to be important for all members of our community to have access to and adopt broadband access, have the devices that they need, and have the skills to use those technology resources, because we need them in our everyday lives for every aspect of what we do in the modern world. So I just am deeply appreciative of being able to partner with the library and all of Digital Durham's partners. And so thankful to the commissioners for their recognition of this work and the work that's going on throughout the county to move us forward toward digital equity. So thank you so much.
Okay. Claudia, would you like to have a comment as well?
Hi, thank you for having me this evening. Hello, commissioners. I am very excited about the great things that Durham County Library is doing. And with Digital Durham coming on board, I'm very excited also with trying to have digital access to everyone in the Durham community. And as you all know, as part of also with the grant that we just received from LSTA, it's great things are going to happen. And I'm just thrilled. I don't know if you can see it on my face. I'm just really happy right now. So I'm just excited about everything that's going to happen. Thank you.
Well, thank you. We can hear it in your voice too. The excitement is great. Okay, thank you both so much for the work that you're doing. This is great. You've been working on it for quite some time, so I'm glad it's finally materializing. Board members, if you'd like to have comments. Commissioner Jacobs.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'm excited for our board to adopt this resolution and also the plan. I'm not sure if the plan was attached to the agenda item, but if we could make sure it does get attached so the public can actually see the plan, I think is really important as well. And I'm thrilled for this partnership with Durham County government, with Durham County Library, with Digital Durham and our entire community. As Laura said, this is just really so important as we look at how everyone in our community can thrive. And Claudia, as you referenced the item on our agenda, item 21-0453, a new wonderful grant that is going to fund a digital navigator program at Stanford L. Warren Library, which I think is a great example of what can happen when we're all focusing on this and working together. Thank you.
Thank you. And Deborah Craig-Ray has been working on this with, she's the GM that's working on this. Deborah, would you like to have a comment about the work that you're doing, the plan that's coming along with this resolution?
Thank you, Chair Howerton, Vice Chair Jacobs, commissioners and general managers. It's exciting that the timing seems to have worked just perfectly. We were working on these issues separately, but they have come together very nicely. The language equity plan that we've been working on for the county, this is perfect timing. We are working to improve our communications in various languages. We are starting with Spanish language, but our goal is to increase that. Also, we plan to do a better job of translating. We will work on closed captioning. That's a phase of the work that we will do. And just last week when we were on the city's budget healing process, I noticed there was a call for assistance for people who were sight impaired as well as hearing impaired. And so our plan will work to make sure when we are communicating with our citizens, we take all of those situations into account and do our very best to provide those resources to assist all of our citizens. So thank you.
All right, Commissioner Burns.
Really quick, I said most of what I want to say during our work session. So, Laura, thank you for following back up with me. I threw something out there. I said, I wonder if you hit right back. And so I can't wait to see how these partnerships move forward. A couple of years ago, when everybody was talking about the digital divide, everyone said, oh, everyone has access to internet. It's not really a problem. It's not really a problem, but we know that finances, we know that we have digital redlining. We know that everybody doesn't have access to broadband. And then we saw how big that chasm was during COVID. So for me, when we look up these definitions and like, what does digital equity really look like? And so I think we're a county commission and a city, and we're a group of people who recognize that what we want to see is a condition where individuals and communities have the capacity to fully participate in society, fully participate in democracy, fully participate in the economy, because this is how people will be working. This is how people will be accessing healthcare, how they'll be accessing essential services. So to have an additional partner who can partner with us to get these things done, especially as we see COVID, I hate to say ramping back up, but as we see the numbers start to exponentially spread, I'm just happy about it and happy to see that we have just another soldier out there. So Laura, Deborah, Ms. Baggett, Claudia, thank you. And Claudia, just special shout out. I appreciate your enthusiasm. So keep that same energy.
Hey, thank you so much. And now the work begins or continues. So we're going to move on now, commissioners, to our consent agenda. We have 22 items tonight on our consent agenda, and if commissioners would like to pull any item for discussion, we will take time and pull that and put it at the end of the agenda. Are there any items that you'd like to pull? Commissioner Jacobs?
I didn't want to pull this, but we didn't actually read the language equity resolution from Deborah. So I just want to make sure that we actually read that. I think it's really important. I think the work that she's doing and leading is very important, that we should actually read the resolution. That's with
that is
item 21-0491. That's what I was trying to refer to with agenda adjustments.
491.
Right.
It's right before public hearing. It's not. It's right
at the bottom of the. Is that the end of the
right,
agenda?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, can you wait till we get there?
Sure. It's just part of our consent agenda instead of being part of the ceremonial items. I just want to make sure the resolution gets read.
So if that's an item, if it's in the consent agenda, would you like to pull it?
Okay. If that's the way we want to handle it, sure.
Yeah, it's a consent item, and if you'd like to pull it, we can pull it. And then interim manager can go ahead with the consent agenda. So we can pull that one.
And I just had a quick question related to item, let's see, the 21-0474. There is a reference to quarterly reports as part of the agreement for that grant. And I just wanted to request that those quarterly reports related to the performance goals also be sent to the county manager to be shared with our board.
Is that another item that you would like to pull, Commissioner Jacobs?
It doesn't need to be pulled. That's all the only requests that I had related to the item.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, I'm going to turn it over to our interim manager. Hager, please.
Good evening,
Can you
Commissioner.
walk us through those?
Yes, I'll read the consent agenda items, if that's the board's pleasure, or we can.
Yes.
Okay.
Or I would move approval of the consent agenda. I don't know.
I would second with Commissioner Carter.
Okay, that works. It's been moved and properly second that the consent agenda be approved. There was one item that Commissioner Jacobs wanted to pull, and that's 210491. So we will pull that one. So everything, all of the consent agenda items except for 0491. It's been moved by Commissioner Burns, seconded by Carter. And if we can have a roll call.
Commissioner Amaya,
I do love hearing Manager Hager's voice. Aye.
Commissioner Burns,
I have to agree with Commissioner Lum. It's like soothing to say aye.
Commissioner Carter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Jacobs,
Aye.
and Chair Howerton.
Consent agenda approved 5-0. Okay, and let's see. So the consent agenda, we got through that one so fast. So, Mr. Jacobs, what you wanted to read that item, is that what was there for you in 21049?
Well, I don't need to read it myself. Any board member can. And I just wanted to make sure that it did get read out loud. But I'm happy to read it if you want me to. I don't want to.
I think that's probably, if you would like to do that. If not, I'll ask someone else. So if you want to go ahead and read
Okay,
it.
I will go ahead and read it. Durham Board of County Commissioners Resolution. Whereas language is a conduit for communication between individuals and groups, and whereas language, a crucial element of diversity, equity, and inclusion, can be a powerful tool used to connect people and communities through communication. And whereas Durham County government recognizes that there are people who live, work, and grow in Durham County experiencing barriers in communication that impede equal access to local government services. And whereas the Durham County Board of Commissioners supports a language equity policy which seeks to establish standards, practices, and procedures supporting equal access to communications related to services and programs for all residents. And whereas Durham County is a community rich in cultural diversity and contributing voices of residents from numerous backgrounds, including those that may have limited proficiency related to their use of read, written, and spoken English. And whereas Durham County government is committed to closing gaps in language access to improve how contributing voices are heard and understood. And whereas Durham County government has prioritized the examination of language equity and understands how improvements to both written and oral communications produced by the organization can enhance meaningful access to a wide range of services, resources, activities, programs, and more for residents. And whereas Durham County government strives to create and foster more equitable outcomes for its stakeholders at every level, and includes working to eliminate disproportionality and disparity related to language access for an increasingly diverse community. And whereas Durham County government is committed to improving quality of life for every resident, regardless of what language they use or understand. Now therefore be it resolved, I, Brenda Howerton, Chair of the Durham County Board of Commissioners, and on behalf of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, do hereby resolve to enact the Durham County Language Access Policy and encourage all residents and county officials and county staff to support efforts related to the policy designed to eliminate language barriers in our county and ensure equal access to government services for all. This, the 9th day of August 2021. And then it just has all of our names. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacobs. Deborah, if you'd like to comment on this, I know you said something a few minutes ago related to it, so if you have something else you'd like to say.
Again, I would just like to thank the board for the support. Our team, our work group is really looking forward to the different directions that we will be able to go in to support all of our community. And again, we expect we will do continuous improvement to begin to react to all of the different languages. We can't get everybody at once, but our goal is to be as inclusive as possible with our translations. So thank you so much. And we promise to bring a report back.
Thanks, Deborah. So I'll need a motion to approve this item.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
And moved by Commissioner Alums, second by Commissioner Carter. Monica, if you could do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Alum,
Aye.
Commissioner Burns,
Aye.
Commissioner Carter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Jacobs,
Aye.
and Chair Howerton.
Aye. Approved 5-2 to 0.
Thank you.
So next, commissioners, we have a public hearing. Commissioners, we 210499 is a public hearing to consider allocating economic development funds to SmartWire, Inc. The board is requested to hold a public hearing to consider allocating a total of $125,000 to SmartWire, Inc. and authorize the interim manager, county manager, to enter into a preliminary negotiations and execute an agreement with the company. And I believe we have Andy Miracle, our economic officer, on the line to discuss this item.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, Commissioners. Andy Miracle, Durham County Economic Development Officer. The board is requested to hold a public hearing to consider allocating $125,000 to SmartWires, Inc. and authorize the county manager or interim county manager to enter into preliminary negotiations and execute an agreement with the company. SmartWires, which specializes in electric fault power transmission and control, will locate its corporate headquarters in Durham, creating 250 jobs and investing $23.5 million. By partnering with electric utilities around the world to improve the efficiency of electric grids, SmartWires is helping to lead the future of clean energy. Despite the many benefits of renewable energy sources, integrating these sources such as solar or wind introduces complexity for grid operation. SmartWire's flagship product, SmartValve, revolutionizes power flow control by dynamically increasing or decreasing line reactance, pushing power off of overloaded transmission lines and pulling it into underutilized lines, ensuring that power flows are efficient and balanced. With approval of the award, SmartWires has agreed to make reasonable efforts to participate in several workforce partnerships that include engagements with Durham Public Schools Career and Technical Education, Durham Technical Community College, and the Research Triangle Clean Tech Cluster. Please find additional project details, including a full list of partnerships, terms, and project attributes in the briefing sheet attached to the agenda item. SmartWire's project in North Carolina will be facilitated by a job development investment grant approved by the state's Economic Investment Committee on July 27th. Over the course of the 12-year term of this grant, The project is estimated to grow the state's economy by over $3 billion. Payments for all JDIG and local awards only occur following performance verification that the company has met its incremental job creation and investment targets. The anticipated revenue that the project will generate is at least twice the size of the proposed local award, and payment to the company occurs only after the annual verification of jobs and investment criteria starting in 2021. Staff is recommending that the county provide $125,000 in economic investment funds to Smart Wires, Inc., subject to performance goals being met by the company related to timing and amount of investment, employment creation, and maintenance of the created jobs, as well as partnership engagement criteria. The public hearing has been advertised as required by law, and that concludes my comment. And I will note that we do have a representative from the company joining us tonight to make comments, and I can introduce when you're ready.
Thank you, Andy. This is a great project. But you know, I'm always excited when the companies are working with Durham Tech, and also that they're providing internships for our young people in this area. So this is a good project, and we appreciate your work. I will ask commissioners, are there any comments or questions before we open it up to public hearing? Commissioner Burns.
Mine is very quick, but it is actually to Andy. I remember, while we cannot talk about what happens in closed session, Andy brings us wonderful, wonderful, wonderful projects. And while I can give many critiques and criticisms, the one thing I can say about myself and the four of the women I serve with is that, you know, we take time, we ask good questions, and we do work to develop decent packages. And this was one of them. And there was not one press release that mentioned Andy Miracle nor any of the women on this call. And I think that was just a great disservice. You know, they didn't ask for a comment from our chair, from our vice chair, and there were a lot of people quoted in that press release, and none of them were on here. So I just want to publicly say thank you to the folks who were on this call that worked, to Claudia for her leadership, to Jay, to Andy, and to the women on this call who, while I can't say what happens in closed session, always ask very good questions and work very hard so that we can bring a $3 billion impact to this entire state and work to get clean energy to people from Murphy to Manio. And since nobody was thanked in the press release, I'm just saying thank you. But that's all I got.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. The other commissioners?
I look forward to seeing the representative. Will we do that now, or if not, I'll probably have something to say later.
Yeah, I'll have to open the public hearings for you to do that. So are there any other questions from commissioners for staff? Okay, hearing none, I will now open the public hearing and have the clerk acknowledge any callers on the line for their comments. And Andy, also for you to introduce the representative.
Chair Howerton, we did not have anyone to sign up to speak.
Okay. So Andy, if you would like to introduce your representative.
Absolutely. So tonight, Shannon Ross will be joining us, who is the Chief People Officer for Smart Wires. And Shannon, I'll kick it over to you when you're ready.
Great. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. We're so thrilled to work with the county and so thankful for this opportunity to be part of Durham and bring our global headquarters here. We're really excited to join this thriving community and can't wait to start bringing people in.
Okay, so thank you, Ms. Ross. Are there questions from commissioners for Ms. Ross? I think, Ms. Carter, did you have a question?
No, I just wanted to meet the representative from the company. Yeah, I love what was it again? Chief People Officer?
That is correct. Yes. Chief
Love
People
that
Officer.
title. Your company has a great name too. I mean, I would say that this is especially timely with the recent release from the International Association on Climate, or whatever that large international group is that reviews thousands and thousands of research projects, and then lets us know what our prognosis for the future is with global warming and such, and just, you know, how imperative it is that we move towards clean energy quickly if we really want to impact climate change. And so your company is certainly going to help us with that.
Thank you. We're very passionate about that. That is our underlying mission. We believe there's a better way to bring energy to everyone around the world. And our tagline is reimagining the grid. It already exists. We just believe we can help it, you know, be more efficient and, you know, capture energy better.
Very cool.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you. Commissioner Burns?
Very quickly, because I've already gone. Thank you again, Ms. Ross, for being here. I will say what I say to everyone else. Thank you for seeing the value in our town. Thank you for seeing the value in our county. And most of all, thank you for seeing the value in our people. I hope you will share that sentiment with the rest of the C-suite. And as the Chief People Officer, I look forward to you also finding the value in our people as you move forward with your hiring. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. I will share that, and I will tell you my peers and our CEO feel the same way. We're thrilled to be part of this community. So we targeted Durham as an opportunity, and we're so glad it worked out.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments? Commissioner Jacobs?
Thank you. And I do want to also acknowledge you, Andy, and welcome Shannon. This is a really exciting thing for Durham. I mean, let's face it, you all had your headquarters in San Francisco, and you are relocating to Durham, North Carolina. That's a really big deal. It does say a lot about what all of our universities and the ecosystem that we have here in Durham County and the Triangle region has to offer. But I'm really excited. I'm excited about what you all provide and how this is, I hope, going to be transformational for our region, our state, and frankly, the entire country and world. As Commissioner Carter mentioned, the climate change report that came out today was, to say the least, very sobering. And you know, we, Durham County, we have adopted a climate change resolution. We have targets to meet. We have a greenhouse gas plan with targets to meet, and also the state. And so we need the help of companies like SmartWire, all of us do, to be able to really achieve these goals for the survival of people and our planet. So I'm really excited that you all are here. And certainly any way that we all can support your efforts, please let us know. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, Commissioner Long.
Thank you, Chair Howerton. Thank you so much, Shannon, for joining us, and thank you, Andy and Jay, for all of your work behind the scenes, and Manager Hager for bringing this deal to us. I just want to echo the sentiments of all of my other board members that we're really excited to have y'all, and especially echo Commissioner Burns's comments about, you know, we are very excited that y'all are coming here, and just as we have been an attractive site for your headquarters, we are very attractive with our talent that is here in Durham, and we put just as much investment, if not more, in growing the best talent for companies like yours. So I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, Durham County residents to be able to apply and take advantage of these amazing positions that are being created at your company. So thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely, and we're looking forward to hiring and connecting with the community and supporting the next generation of workers as well, the technical opportunities and internships that we discussed, and we're really looking forward to that partnership.
So I think you can see and hear, Ms. Ross, that we're really bullish about a community that companies that are coming here now own the community, that they really take a part and participate in our community rather than just showing up and get the, as they say, get the goodies and don't put anything back. So we're looking for what will be given back to the community. So we look forward to working with you. Jay, is there something you wanted to say?
Chair, I didn't have any particular comments other than as a trained engineer, this is the kind of economic development opportunity I really geek out over and have enjoyed reading and learning more about just exactly how they do it. And in a nutshell, it's nice to see with the climate change and things upon us, what they're doing is imperative. Basically, in a nutshell, they're enabling us to get more bites of the same apple, you might say, even as we seek more apples in the renewable energy space. So getting more bites of the same apple sooner is always a great thing, and we thank SmartWire and you commissioners for that.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so if there are no other questions or comments, so due to virtual meetings, the new rule requires all public hearings to remain open for 24 hours to allow time for additional public comments. The public hearing will close tomorrow, August the 10th. At the conclusion of this meeting, this item will be moved to the August 23rd regular session meeting. At that time, comments received will be shared and a vote will be considered. So thank you so much, Shannon, for being here.
Thank you again for all of you for your support and all the work you helped to get us to this point. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Andy. So the next item, commissioners, is 210492, Durham County Public Health Focus Update on COVID-19 crisis. So the board has requested a public health update from county staff on COVID response and efforts. The discussion will be led by Elizabeth Stevens and Christian Patterson, both assistant directors of the health, of public health. And just before you get started, we did the mask requirements were, we had the press conference today. It took effect today at 5 o'clock. And as I said to Commissioner Jacobs, we would like for you to talk a little bit more about that. We've had press conferences with Steve, and press has called me. We've talked about what's happening. And I'd love for you to share even more of what's happening with the numbers, and so the public understands more clearly why this action was taken. Okay.
Certainly. Thank you, Chair Howerton. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Great, wonderful. Good evening, Chair Howerton, Vice Chair Jacobs, to Commissioners Burns, Carter, and Alam. I'm Liz Stevens, one of the Deputy Health Directors with Durham County, and I'm pleased to be here with you tonight along with my co-deputy, Kristen Patterson. So we will be doing our best to share an update, certainly to speak about the new mask mandate on behalf of Director Jenkins, who regrets that he was unable to be here this evening. As you know, we have entered back into a busy time with our COVID-19 response, and Kristen and I are hoping to provide you with that update and of course do our best to answer your questions. So with that, I will ask Monica to move to the next slide. Thank you. So as we know, the message remains the same in terms of what we are hoping that the public and our Durham County residents understand in terms of the ways that we can help to mitigate this pandemic. We must continue to follow our 3 W's: wearing a mask, wearing a well-fitting mask over your nose and mouth, waiting 6 feet apart, avoiding that close contact, and of course, proper hand washing or use of sanitizer continues to be encouraged. Really, what it comes down to, and what I know Director Jenkins has shared with the board over the past couple of weeks, is that we know that vaccinations are truly our most powerful tool against this pandemic. So while we continue to educate and share the importance of the 3 W's, we know that vaccinations for everyone here in Durham County as quickly and expeditiously as possible are really going to be the thing that's going to help get us out of this. We do have a new incentive cash card program that has been made available through the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. We in Durham were happy to be one of the initial recipients of the cash card program. And so we'll share a bit more about that as we speak. And that is a program that's going to be ongoing for the month of August. So it's important that we share with our residents who have not yet been vaccinated that during the month of August, there is this additional incentive to help encourage vaccines. So we are indeed in this 4th wave of the virus. We have seen infections rise, and I'll share more about those numbers in a minute. But really the best way to mitigate this 4th wave, get us back to normal, are to include the 3 W's along with vaccination. So like you mentioned, Chair Howerton, the latest declaration of a state of emergency here for Durham County did go into effect today at 5 o'clock. And I think it's important for the public to understand some of the specifics as to why we felt like it was going to be an important tool, really, to continue to try to mitigate infections. So face coverings, like I said, should be worn correctly. This declaration of the state of emergency requires that face coverings are worn in all public places, indoor public places, businesses, or establishments. These face coverings certainly should be worn properly and should be worn safely. And if there are those individuals who, due to a medical condition or communication need, are not able to wear face coverings, we know that there are those exceptions that will occur. We know that children under the age of 2 should not wear face coverings. And as part of this declaration of a state of emergency, it is required that any children 5 and older are included in the requirement of a face covering indoors. It is not necessarily for face covering, not necessary for face coverings to be worn if an individual is actively eating or drinking, or if, like I mentioned, if the visualization of a person's mouth is necessary for communication purposes. So again, happy to answer questions that you commissioners may have received, or certainly any other questions that we'd like to discuss. But we feel strongly within public health that this addition of face coverings in indoor settings is truly going to help us mitigate the spread. So can we move to the next slide, please? So just to give a sense of the current numbers that we're looking at, we have seen an increase of our 7-day moving average. As you know, that's one of the measures that we pay really close attention to in public health. Our latest 7-day moving average is at 70 cases per day, and this is an increase of 41 from the past week and 21 the previous week. All of this information is available within our coronavirus data hub on our public health website. We have a total of 469 active cases, 26,466 active cases, 236 COVID-19 deaths, 12 other deaths, which basically described as individuals who were positive with COVID but died due to another cause. And that brings us to our grand total of 27,163 total cases for Durham County. So like I said, that 7-day moving average is going up, and our total number of cases so far for the month of August, this is through August 6th, through the end of last Friday, was 460 cases. Next slide, please. So of course, we continue to pay really close attention to our trends as it relates to race and ethnicity. We've been doing this throughout the pandemic, as you know, and looking at who is becoming infected and how this virus is potentially disproportionately affecting different demographics of our population. So our Hispanic or Latinx population appears to be fairly proportionally represented from our latest data, making up 16.44% of all cases in the month of July. And we know that this population accounts for about 14% of our residents here in Durham County. Our Black and African American individuals continue to be overrepresented within our COVID cases. These individuals have made up 41.1% of cases, again, in the month of July, while representing 37% of Durham County residents. So as you may recall, this number was a bit higher earlier in the spring and has come down since then, but the Black and African American community does continue to be overrepresented in terms of COVID infections. White individuals continue to be underrepresented. As we know, this has been the case throughout the pandemic. Our white individuals make up 36.51% of cases for the month of July, and while making up about 54% of the Durham population. Next slide, please. So the other metric, along with our 7-day moving average, the other metric that we pay really close attention to kind of give us a sense of how we're doing is this percent of positive labs. So we get this data every Tuesday from the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, and we get it for the prior week. So if we consider data that we received last week for the week of July 25th to July 31st, we saw that this metric was also climbing. 4.6% of all COVID testing done in Durham County reported positive. This compares to the prior week of 3.1%. And we know that since the end of June, our percent positivity rates have been making that slow but steady increase in terms of percent positive. Like I said, we will be receiving our data tomorrow for last week and are certainly awaiting that information to help us get the best sense of where we are with our infections. Next slide, please. So I'm going to move us into a little bit of a discussion about vaccinations, and then I'll turn it over to Kristen in a minute. We look at data from a couple of different sources related to vaccinations. The data that we get from the CDC is really inclusive of all vaccinations that take place through local vaccinators within the states, along with all federal vaccinations through some of the federal pharmacy programs, the Veterans Affairs program, and the Indian Health Service program. So if we look at these numbers for the CDC, our total population here in Durham, we have 173,950 individuals who have received full vaccination. That brings us to about 54.1% of our total population here in Durham. If we drill down as it relates to age and as it relates to who's eligible to get the vaccine, we know at this point we want to look at individuals ages 12 and older. So of our population age 12 and older here in Durham, we've vaccinated about 62.9%. If we look at our adult population, individuals age 18 and older, we've vaccinated about 64.4% of the population. And then, of course, we always are paying close attention to our high-risk individuals, age 65 and older. And that population has received a high fully vaccinated percentage of 83.6%. The other information that we pay close attention to from the CDC, you'll see at the bottom of the slide here, in terms of the level of community transmission in Durham. This is a designation that is given to counties based on kind of a combination of metrics. And we have moved into the high transmission zone of late. I will say that nearly all of North Carolina is in the high transmission zone, so we certainly are not alone in this here in Durham. Next slide, please. And then the second source that we look at really regularly is specifically from the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. So this gives us a sense of the number and percentage of our residents who are both fully vaccinated and partially vaccinated. So as you can see here in Durham, we do have about 61% of our population vaccinated with at least one dose of the vaccine, and our fully vaccinated individuals, the state reports at about 57%. The data that's not included in this number is a little bit of that federal, those federal doses that I mentioned that the CDC has access to, but don't all necessarily come directly to the state. So that's why you'll see a little bit of a difference in those numbers. All right, next slide, please. And now I'm going to turn it over to Kristen, our other Deputy Health Director, who has really been spearheading much of our vaccination efforts. So take it away, Kristen.
Thank you, Liz, and good evening, Madam Chair Howerton and Commissioners and Interim County Manager. So I'll provide you more updates on our vaccination efforts and outreach within Durham County. So currently we're vaccinating all groups 1 through 5. As you notice, whenever we first started vaccination, the state grouped people within groups 1 through 5. So we're now vaccinating everyone 1 through 5. And since August the 2nd, we have vaccinated 338,300 people. So we performed that many vaccinations within Durham County. That's awesome, because we've had some busy days. And now since the incentive cards, which I will talk about those a little bit later, we've seen more vaccinations this week. The vaccinations has notably increased over the past 2 weeks, and yes, it's because of those vaccination cards and just a push of the staff in the vaccination clinic. We've been going out on weekends, going into these lower economical sections within Durham to provide education and vaccines. And we have been making a dent, making an effort to make sure that everyone receives a vaccine. And so in that regard, we've seen an uptake in the past 2 weeks. And last week, well, mid-July, we've seen a decrease in vaccinations. But of course, like I said, that has turned around these past 2 weeks, and we are so grateful. And the Durham County residents, they have been vaccinated because they've taken part in vaccination sites across North Carolina, and currently there's 590 vaccination sites. Next slide, please. So vaccination by race. So the population with the greatest number of people vaccinated based on the raw counts. So with white, non-Hispanic is 89,779. Black or African American non-Hispanic is 46,592. Asians, non-Hispanic, there is about 11,885. Next slide, please. So now we're going to look at the total population in Durham. And so the total number, the total white population in Durham is, the percentage is about 7.05 of the residents have been partially vaccinated, and 55.20% have been fully vaccinated. So in our Black or African American population in Durham is 6.17% of the residents have been partially vaccinated and 37.67 fully vaccinated. In our Asian population, approximately 10.05 has been partly vaccinated and 64.78% has been fully vaccinated. Next slide, please. Okay, so with ethnicity, a total of 22,271 Hispanic or Latinx residents have been vaccinated. So of that, the Hispanic and Latinx population in Durham County, 9.04% of the residents here has been partially vaccinated and 43.96% has been fully vaccinated. So we still have some work to do, but there has been an improvement shown. Next slide, please. Okay, so vaccine equity. So as stated before, what Ms. Monica had read, so as of August the 2nd, Durham County, we changed our vaccination clinics so that we can start doing more outreach, because we noticed that people weren't really coming into the clinic. So we need to take the clinic out to the people. And if anyone knows public health is the entity that goes out. So we're going out to reach our clinic, to reach our population on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, because we've been working on Saturdays because just like us, people work. So they may not be able to attend the vaccination clinics Monday through Friday. So we make ourselves available on Saturdays. And most of the time we have maybe 2 or 3 events on Saturdays. So we're spread out across Durham County because we want to reach all of Durham County. We want to make sure that everyone who wants a vaccine is afforded the opportunity to receive that vaccine. And we work with our partners here in Durham County. And for some of the partners are La Semilla, we work with War for Life, UNC Mobile Clinic, Durham Housing Authority. And we work with them in partnership with OptumServe, because although our hands can't reach everyone, so we're grateful to our partners because they're our extended hands. So we're so grateful. Even the Ministerial Alliance in Durham County, they are awesome. They open their doors to their churches to allow us to come in and provide vaccine, not just to their congregation, but everyone in Durham County. So we go from one end of Durham County, and I'm not from Durham, but I have seen Durham, and it's a beautiful county. And I told people now, I'm from Laurinburg, but I'm starting to recognize roads and streets in Durham County. So we've been out there a lot. And as stated before, we're having our back to school bash. We're all excited. And it's going to be August the 20th, from 10 to 2 p.m. on that Friday at the Durham Stadium. And we have had just an outpour of responses for vendors, and we've had to turn some vendors away because we could only fit so many, because we're still practicing social distancing, even though it's outside. So we've had to turn some people away, but it's going to be an awesome event. We have school supplies, food, hair styling, haircuts. We're asking that everyone bring their children out. It's more like a family event and an educational event. And we want the family to come out and be vaccinated together. And what happened on July the 29th, we did receive the $25 vaccination incentive cards from Department of Health and Human Services. But however, on August the 4th, they increased the amount to $100 for the first dose recipients of those persons who are 18 and older. And if a parent or a guardian bring their 12-year-old, of course the 12-year-old can't, or 12 to 17, they can't receive a gift card. However, the parent or guardian who's transporting them, as long as they're 18 years and older, they'll receive a vaccine for the first dose recipient that they bring to either the clinic or any of our vaccination sites. We are so excited. We're thankful for Department of Health and Human Services for including Durham with these vaccination cards. And I know people say, well, why should you pay people to receive a vaccine? Well, you know what? We're about saving lives. And if this is what it takes, you know, we're going to do whatever it takes. And we have seen an uptick. This morning, I had to work the clinic. And at 8 o'clock, we had a line of people who wanted to receive the vaccine. And these are folks who probably would not receive a vaccine. So, you know, we have to look at it in that lens that we're saving lives. We don't want to see our ERs or our ICU clinics overflowing and people on you know, life-saving mechanisms. So, you know, if this is what it takes, this is what we're gonna do. And we have on August the 14th, we've had so many outreach events scheduled that now we are having to, you know, call on our partners, because we have 2 for ourselves and then we have other ones. But, you know, if this is what it takes, you know, we're going to do whatever it takes. And for the month of August, we're working every Saturday. So, you know, we're in the business of helping people. So we have to help people. And I know, you know, sometimes people in the vaccination clinic, they're like, oh, we're tired. But when we see someone that just says thank you, because I don't know if I would have been able to receive a vaccine because, you know, I can't get to this place or I can't get to that place. And when we go out into the community and people are so thankful, so that's our gratitude. You know, we're just thankful that they're thankful and that they're going to be healthy. So we just want to say thank you to the commissioners. Thank you for everyone, even the county manager, our general manager, Joanne Pierce, for just backing us. And whenever we need something, they're always there to provide that support. So we just want to say thank you. Next slide. And thank you all. And if there's any questions.
So thank you so much, Christian. Thank you, and Liz, for this incredible report. So before commissioners start to ask questions, I do want to ask if Curtis Massey is on the call. Our attorney, is Curtis on the call?
Chair Howerton, I do not see Attorney Massey on the line.
Okay, so Ms. Pierce, is she on the line? That's Joanne. Yes. So yes. I'd like to know if you have anything that you want to contribute specifically toward the mask mandate, in case commissioners have questions about that, and then they can ask the 2 representative questions as well. Is there anything that you'd like to contribute toward the mandate that we just did?
Good evening, Chair Howerton, Vice Chair Jacobs, and to the commissioners. I do not have anything additional to share in addition to what the Deputy Directors of Public Health shared. And I don't know if there's any legal piece that the attorney would have on the call, but certainly, as you've mentioned, Chair Howerton, and also Vice Chair Jacobs, that the mandate went into place this afternoon. And I haven't received any additional feedback regarding that at this point. It's only been a few hours, but I don't have anything additional to add regarding that.
Thank you. There are just a couple of questions that I've received, had to do with areas that refuse to wear masks. And I sent those questions to the public contact that our director had given us, the health director had given us, to pass those questions on. So commissioners, are there questions that you have for our health team here? Commissioner Carter.
Thank you, Chair Howerton. And I have always thought public health professionals are the best and are rock stars, but boy, you guys really demonstrated that tonight. Such energy, you know, for this work. I really appreciate you. And I'm very glad that Durham has reinstated the mask mandate. This mostly is a pandemic of the unvaccinated now, but we are seeing some breakthrough COVID cases in people who have been vaccinated, and we do know that vaccinated people can transmit the disease to those who have not been vaccinated. And in particular, children. I've had a number of residents say to me how grateful they are for this mask mandate because they want to be able to take their child into the grocery store with them, you know, and that sort of thing. And so I think this is a really important step for Durham County, and really thank Chair Howerton and the health director and the mayor and all the others, Joanne Pierce, everyone, all of you for, you know, helping to advise them and move us in this direction. I'm wondering, do we have any data on the percentage of, two questions. You gave us a lot of great data. Do we have any data on the percentage of COVID positive cases that are in the vaccinated population? And also, I've been reading about surges in COVID in children, and I'm just wondering if we are seeing that here at the local level.
Commissioner Carter, I'd be happy to answer that question for you. I do have that data ready and waiting, knowing that this is so much of the data that we have to examine as we think about mandating masks, and as we think about the way that our messaging needs to shift, if you will, to really make sense to people, because everyone is hearing about breakthrough cases. Everyone, I think it has led some people to think that the vaccine is not effective, right? And so I think we really have had to look at this data to shift our discussions, really. So before I share that data with you, I'll share the way that I think we've shifted. The team that Kristen alluded to is, you know, our public health team is out in the community having those conversations, answering our hotline, really just trying to meet people where they're at in terms of questions or hesitancy around receiving a vaccine. And I think what we've needed to start sharing with people is the vaccine is not 100%. None of the vaccines, none of the 3 vaccines are 100%. They are certainly effective in many cases if a person is exposed to COVID, particularly this Delta variant, which we know is 200 times more infectious than the virus we saw initially. We know the vaccines are not 100%. If a person is exposed to COVID, if they are unvaccinated, they are quite likely going to become infected with this Delta variant. If a person is vaccinated, they may not, they may, but they likely will not become infected. And if they do become infected, yes, we have learned that they may transmit the infection to others similarly to unvaccinated positive individuals. But we also have seen, and I can speak from personal experience of working alongside our surveillance team every day, we have seen that vaccinated individuals are significantly less symptomatic, are less severely ill, and are not the individuals ending up in the hospital or, God forbid, passing from COVID. So we are seeing that. We have real data to show that. To answer your question directly, we have been paying very close attention to our vaccine breakthrough cases. I like to brag on my data team a bit, because I think that we were actually really able to sound the alarm to some of our partners at the state in terms of noticing that we were seeing more vaccine breakthrough cases during the month of July, and we weren't yet hearing it from our state data team. And we were able to provide some really informative data to them early on that I think has prompted more conversation. So I would be remiss if I did not give credit to our data team for that good detail seeking. We saw in the month of July that our breakthrough cases were significant. Of all of our cases in the month of July, we saw about 20% were among individuals who were vaccinated, fully vaccinated. We did not necessarily see trends in terms of which which vaccine was breaking through more, but we did see that these individuals who were vaccinated who tested positive for COVID seemed to not get as severely ill, so that's a good thing. To answer your question about our youth, we've of course been paying close attention to that as well, in partnership with Durham Public Schools and our private and charter schools, of course. We saw in the month of July, about 23% of our cases were under 18. So again, not an insignificant number of cases. I would say probably slightly higher than what we were seeing earlier on in the pandemic. So far in August, that number's been a little lower. Granted, we're about a week into August, but so far about 18% of our cases are under the age of 18. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed it does. And just, really encourage everybody to wear their masks again. It also prevents colds. I've been hearing a lot of people are talking about having colds again since we're not wearing masks. So anyway, really appreciate you all so very much. Thank you.
You have given such great information, both of you, and we really appreciate all of your information. We've got a couple more questions. We've gone over time here, but we've got a couple more questions before we let you go. If the commissioners can make their questions short, I'd appreciate it. Commissioner Burns?
Yes, mine is relatively quick. With the onset of more people tested positive for COVID. Yes, right. Oh, you can't hear me at all.
Something's wrong with your mic. Try it again.
Okay, I'll come back.
All right, Commissioner Jacobs, you want to go ahead while we're waiting for her to come back real quick?
Thank you. And I just want to echo what Commissioner Carter said to both you, Kristen and Liz. Outstanding report. Thank you so much for your work. At first I was like, oh my gosh, Rod is not here. I don't think we've had one report without Rod, but I really hope that he is not here because he is on vacation with his family. I'm just hoping that's the reason, but it's really great to then be able to hear from both of you. My question was on Commissioner Carr, vaccination rate for ages 12 to 18.
Kristen, do you have that number right there?
I don't know if you had that data, because
No, I don't have it right there.
Yeah, I can pull that up for you, okay. Commissioner Jacobs. We do, for that age-specific data, we do feel like the information that comes to us from the CDC is quite accurate, and it's one of the reasons that we really appreciate that accurate breakdown that they do give to us. So for our individuals ages 12 and up, we are.
Yeah, and I was really interested in school age, so 12 to 18.
12 to 18, yes. That, I will have to report back to you on that. I pulled that recently for some of our leadership within Durham Public Schools, so I know that we have been looking at that along with the DPS leadership, and I can certainly be sure to report that back to you. I don't have it here at my fingertips right now.
Okay. And okay, thank you so much. And do you know if there's going to be any change in the incentive policy? I'm disappointed to see that it's only for 18 and older, because I mean, I just think it's important for everyone to get vaccinated, and especially with our kids going back to school. You know, we want them to stay in school. We don't want them to bring something home to their family, especially if you have immunocompromised family members. So is there any discussion that you've heard about having the incentives go down to everyone who's eligible?
Well, currently with the state, they're having the incentives for 18 and over, but in in our department, we're working with the county to try to have some type of cards for our younger individuals, because we have that same sentiment, you know, they're getting vaccinated, they want the cards as well. So we're working with county and with our
Okay,
COVID.
great.
Yes,
Okay, well, and if that's something that needs to come back to our board, even with the $100 per, you know, student, or what that would look like, because again, you know, I'd like us to be able to support Durham Public Schools and try to get as many kids vaccinated as possible. And thank you so much for all of your great work.
Okay, Commissioner Burns.
Thank you. This will be quick. Ladies, thank you so much for your presentation. I agree with the sentiments of my colleagues, but my question is about testing. Since we have more people possibly getting COVID, I know we have not ramped up our testing sites at the county yet, right? All right, so we're seeing CVS, we're seeing Fayetteville, we're seeing well, I shouldn't say CVS, we're seeing some of our major pharmaceutical companies, and then we have these privatized organizations doing them. Is there any way, because I don't see it right now on website, and I apologize if it's on there somewhere, since people are going to be seeking additional testing sites, maybe put that somewhere on the splash page so that people, okay, because we don't have that as of right now. And my second question is, I was in a pharmacy today, buy next now. So now we have folks who want to go in and actually take their own COVID test. It's $23.99, especially since they couldn't find it. I was actually in there while people were calling on the phone because conferences. So could you tell for the public the efficacy of actually taking a buy next now at home test, and whether or not it will give in some semblance of an accurate or false positive?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that we do know that we need to continue to look at testing availability and make sure that those sites are very clearly visible to the public. So I will share that feedback with our public information officer, and certainly do a good job to highlight that for the public. To your question related to the buy next now, so those are antigen tests, right? So the difference between an antigen test and a PCR test is that the antigen tests, long story short, the antigen tests are less sensitive. So that means that it's more possible that a person could have a false negative with an antigen test. And for that reason, we would encourage people to seek a PCR, which is considered the gold standard test, through one of our sites around town or through their own provider as well. The antigen tests, to my knowledge, have about 40% sensitivity. So it's not unlikely that someone could get a false negative with an antigen test if their viral load in their body is not quite high enough to make that test show up positive. The antigen tests are helpful. We certainly use them when someone is symptomatic, because we know that if someone has symptoms, their viral load is probably going to be pretty high, and that test is going to come back positive. We also use antigen tests within some of our congregate living settings, to include the detention center, to include long-term care facilities. We've put some protocols in place in a lot of our congregate settings around town for them to be used as just a very regular kind of screening when it's being done once a week, when it's being done regularly. And we know we're in some higher risk settings. But for the individual out in the community who is not symptomatic and is just wanting to kind of get a COVID test to say they got a COVID test, the antigen test is probably not the best choice. Again, there's those circumstances where it makes sense, but overall, we know that the chance of a false negative is a little bit higher than one might be comfortable with. So I hope that answers your question, Commissioner Burns.
Perfect. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Liz and Christian. You've been just superb, and your presentations. Again, thank you so much. And we need to move on, commissioners, to the next item.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, our next item is 210493. It's a request for a support letter for the NC Sentinel Landscape Partnership. So the board is requested to hear a brief presentation about the North Carolina Centennial Landscape Partnership. And we have Deborah Craig Ray on the line to introduce this item.
Thank you very much. We're very pleased to introduce Dr. Mary Lou Etter from North Carolina State University. I was pleased to be on a call with other county managers a couple of weeks ago to talk about the importance of this project, and we received this presentation, which was very informative, and we were asked to bring it before our board and to ask for a letter. So don't worry about the letter. I will work on that and get it back for the chair's signature. But we wanted you to understand the importance of this project to our state. So I will turn it over to Dr. Mary Lou Etter, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Deborah, and Madam Chair and County Commissioners, thank you so much for having me this evening. This has been a very interesting meeting, and so I appreciate being able to observe it. So what I'm going to do is I had several slides on here to introduce to you the Sentinel landscape itself, what it is in North Carolina, but also what it is nationally, why it matters. And I also had some slides on some projects. I understand that we've probably gone over time, so I'm going to cut several of those out and just maybe just kind of briefly just talk about them rather going into depth, just so you know what some of the projects are. So I'm going to be doing this presentation today on behalf of NC State University, also the North Carolina Department of Military and Veteran Affairs, and the North Carolina Department of Agricultural and Consumer Services, as well as the Sentinel Landscape Partnership and the Sentinel Landscape Committee, which I will introduce and talk about in a bit. The purpose for me being here is because we have two installations that are not a part of what is called our Sentinel Landscape designation. One of those is Camp Butner, which is in the Durham, Granville counties. And the other one is what is called Matsu, which is located down by Brunswick and New Hanover. And both of these installations, by including them in our federal designation, which wasn't done in 2016, would allow us to have all of our armed forces represented. And that is the purpose for the letter of endorsement, is to ensure that we can get them to be a part of this federal designation. So let me move on to the next slide, which actually it talks about our unconventional partnerships. And so I just want to allude to them from the very beginning. And our partnerships really are around linking military readiness, testing and training with working lands, conservation, and also recreational and water quality. And so it's really linking these pieces together, these multiple interests across the state of North Carolina. And so if you actually go to sentinellandscapes.org, you can actually go to the national website, and you can see just a little bit more about what we're focused on. And I hope that, are the slides working out for everybody?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so in front of you, the governance of the Sentinel Landscape Partnership is out of the national, what is called the REPI, Readiness for Environmental Protection and Integration Office, out of the Department of Defense in Washington, D.C. And so there are actually 7 Sentinel Landscapes currently in the United States. There's Joint Base Lewis McChord up at Washington. There's Fort Huachuca that is down in southern Arizona. Then there's Camp Ripley, which is a National Guard site that is up in Minnesota. Then there's Georgia Sentinel Landscape. There's also Avon Park Sentinel Landscape, which is down in Florida. And then there's the Middle Chesapeake Sentinel Landscape, which actually takes in a couple of states. And then there's the Eastern North Carolina Sentinel Landscape. We are currently the largest Sentinel Landscape, composed of 33 counties. And I'll talk just a little bit more about that in a minute. Right now, there's applications that have gone out. There's about 10 additional potential Sentinel Landscapes in the United States, such as California, Hawaii, Virginia, South Carolina, and some others. We won't know until the end of this year who will be selected, whether it'll be 2, 1, or all 10 of them. But the number of the Sentinel Landscapes is expected to grow. So I just wanted to put that out there, that this is seen as a way to help leverage resources, to maximize benefits, and to coordinate action strategies. So this is a copy of the North Carolina Sentinel landscape area, and you can see it's 33 counties. Fort Bragg, one of our largest installations, is included within that Sentinel landscape boundary. Then if you come on over to the coast, you'll see that MCI East, the Marine Corps, including Cherry Point and other parts of the installation are also included. Seymour Johnson is a little bit smaller there in the center and is also a part of the Sentinel landscape, and including the Dare County Range, which is an area that all of the installations share. And then also a little bit further up you have the Elizabeth City Coast Guard installation area. And so outside of that, we have Matsu, which is down here between New Hanover and Brunswick County. Matsu is an international logistical hub for ammunition. And right now it is facing a lot of erosion where it's located. And so the request from their commander has been to include Matsu in the Sentinel landscape area along with Brunswick and New Hanover County. And so that gives them a little bit more leverage in working with other partners, working with not just DOD, but other NGOs, other businesses, and other organizations that the current partnership is working with. And then if you look a little bit out, you'll see Durham and Granville County, where Camp Butner is located. And Camp Butner is also another one of our installations that we want to bring within to the Sentinel landscape. And I'm going to talk just a little bit about those reasons why, and just to kind of give you some of the importance, some of the critical factors. And so if you look here, North Carolina's military mission footprint, we almost say it covers the entire state. And it certainly does. And so this is, air, this is flight paths, this is, ground, this is areas where the military connects with different mission and training. So one of the things that's important to recognize for the military is that the military needs natural lands from which to do its training. So a lot of military installations, if you look way back when, were put in locations where there was not a lot of development around them. But that has changed. That has changed significantly over the years. And so now we have development, housing, cities, towns growing up near these installations. And so that's a form of what is called encroachment, meaning there's some things that starts to prevent the military from doing with their training, as well as cities and towns. And so it's trying to figure out a better way of how we can work together, and particularly in a state, and this is where it gets pretty critical, we're the 9th most populous state in the nation, and many people don't realize that. So that means we're growing and growing significantly. As of COVID-19, we're the 2nd most inbound state, so people are moving here in droves. So that also takes up, the good things that we talk about in growth and development, but that also takes up landscape, and that takes up some of these other services, these ecosystem services that are pretty critical to not only the military, but also to food security, water security, national security, environmental security. And so when we think about these things, it's like, how do we do a better job of integrated planning? North Carolina is also the 15th most densely populated state, and so we rank up there pretty high. And at one time, and I don't know where this number is, that we were expected to be the 7th most populous state by 2032, which is right around the corner. And so one of the things that we're trying to do, again, with our partnership is leverage resources, maximize benefits, really look at multiple interests and develop coordinated strategies with the programs that we have, the resources that we have, the innovations that we have, and think about ways to work together, which allows the military to continue to do the good work that it does here in North Carolina, as well as these other interests, continuing to work with our private landowners, which are represented in the hundreds of thousands here in North Carolina, and pulling them into the mix, as well as some of our public and private partnerships. So I'm going to pass by these particular slides because I think it's something that you can read. You have a copy of this presentation, but our mission and goal is really around this collaboration and really working with these multiple interests and developing this comprehensive planning strategy. And so that's probably the most important thing that we feel like that we serve and do. And so it's not so much about funding, but it is talking about innovative programs such as military installations sometimes will deal with endangered species. And so what can other agencies and organizations do to help support the growth of and the habitat for those species, but yet does not interfere with the training ground? And so an agency like the Wildlife Resources Commission has stepped up and has 2 game lands near MCI East where they are reestablishing the habitat for longleaf there. So some of those populations that are on the MCIC East base installation can migrate over into these other habitats. And so that reduces the interference that they might have with some of their training. And so those are innovative strategies that are thought about. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Safe Harbor Program is also another one which has now gone national, which is giving landowners the ability to identify, along with other experts, what their current population is, and then that makes them responsible for that current population. So if they have 0 population, that means if they develop the habitat for a particular endangered species, they would not be responsible for it. They would work with the service to do whatever the next best step is in working with that population. So the other thing that we have developed, of course, are outreach materials, conservation, and working with working lands in particular, because we want to make sure that these working lands remain in having the ability for economic development. And so it's coming up with some of those strategies and programs that help these private landowners do that. Carbon sequestration is a big one that's coming online, and how can a lot of our natural lands, our working lands, really provide kind of that carbon sink, so that helps reduce what is emitted into the air. And so it's a pretty important strategy, and having the natural based lands is pretty key. The same thing with flooding, having flood catchments, different kinds of innovations such as that, and having landowners be responsible for and help plan for protection of some of our areas through nature-based solutions is also another critical aspect of that. So we also, another program that we have is securing conservation easements around installations. It's called our High Priority Protect program. It's been around for several years. And so each one of the installations really identifies, Camp Butner has done this, Matsu is, I think, getting ready to do something similar, but to identify lands around where it's pretty primary or pretty critical for them to secure those lands in order to limit the growth and the impact that might be outside of the installation boundaries. There are other strategies that are being developed, particularly around developing conservation easement templates that help us move conservation easements through a process from a 4-year to a 2-year. And as you can imagine, if you're dealing with 3 different installations currently and potentially 5 of them, that's pretty important to have, because you need some kind of stable language that's a part of the conservation easement template, so you're not having to renegotiate that every time that you come up and deal with a conservation easement. The other piece that we have near Fort Bragg in particular, obviously, is the Red-Cockaded Woodpecker, particularly found in the longleaf area of North Carolina. And that is securing the longleaf, restoring longleaf, and also, growing that habitat for protection of the RCW, which has been a partnership between DoD and others as a way to help it flourish, but yet at the same time not interfere with private landowners using their land, and being able to have forest management plans and do things that they need to do that help them to flourish. There have been quite a few things that have occurred as a result of the longleaf implementation teams, including now having a prescribed burn association. And that's a pretty novel idea where you're getting a landowner to help landowners, so peer-to-peer a mentor group, because working with prescribed fire is a pretty important element of longleaf and its growth. And so being able to work with your neighbor and share some of those resources, time, experience, has proved to be quite a model. And so now there are 3 other prescribed burn associations here in North Carolina. I don't know that there's one up around Camp Butner, but that doesn't mean that there won't be. Then there's also the North Carolina Sustainable Forestry and Land Retention Project, which works with a lot of underserved landowners and to developing the communities and the legacy around these lands and helping these landowners understand the value of the current property that they have and how they can manage it. So that outreach and connection, this is a really large, significant network within the South. And it's been pulled together through USDA, and the Endowment for Communities in Forestry has really been helping with intergenerational landowners and getting them to see the value of what they have. The other one, the other project that we have is capacity building, and it's really using conservation legacy, which is a national model, civilian corps, and getting emerging leaders who want to work in the natural resource field, to think about how to help agencies and organizations that may have the resources, funding for a particular project, but they don't have the capacity. And so it's us training that capacity in order to help close the loop. Say if you've got a lot of landowners that have prescribed fire as an incentive tool that they want to use on their property, but they haven't been able to secure the manpower to do that, or the capacity to make that happen. Conservation Legacy has been stepping in through their training of folks and providing that capacity. So it's a pretty significant program, and it's going on to do some other things as well, particularly around forest management, and could be doing some things like developing forest management plans. In the other project, we've got a couple more. One is we decided to take a look through GIS spatial modeling and look out to 2060 and say, what do we wish we would have done? And we're just at the tail end of writing that report, and we will be sharing that with different counties so folks can see some of the results that we came up with, and so it can be used not only for the climate assessment plan that the state has, but also for counties to do different kinds of planning and to really raise the questions with some of these other partners and organizations. And then we also have another nature-based program here, which is a living shoreline at Cherry Point, and that's using nature-based solutions to help counteract erosion, say near base housing. And so you can see this red line here. This project is promoted by the Coastal Federation and other partners. This really provides a way to help, control some of that flooding and that storm surge that's there. So the other thing, we have a Sentinel Landscape Partnership, which is composed of lots of different partners from federal, state, local, to business, to NGOs. And then we also have what's called the North Carolina Sentinel Landscape Committee. And that committee is comprised of 6 leaders in organization. And one of those is the Secretary of Department of Military and Veteran Affairs, the Secretary of the Department of Agriculture. We also have the Executive Director for the Wildlife Resources Commission. We have my dean in the College of Natural Resources. We also have a liaison for our Sentinel Landscape Partnership. And I think I'm missing one of them. And so, and then we also have the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. And so these individuals are connected to the formal decision-making process, meaning that the North Carolina legislature established this committee to help with designations of different properties, or if there were some things that the military was facing, that maybe they could work with them and work through the legislature to help resolve some of those issues. So recently in June, this committee voted to approve in the state Sentinel Landscape Committee in the 33 counties that we have, to include Camp Butner and Matsu, and the 2 other counties, Brunswick and New Hanover, and then Durham and Granville. And so that's a state view of saying that, these entities are welcome to be a part of how we operate at the state, but that is not the federal designation. And so what we're seeking is the federal designation from DOD, USDA, and the Department of Interior, which means we're developing our packet, which goes to Washington, D.C., And it makes the request to have the addition of these 2 installations and those 4 counties into our federal designation, which again gives us that coordinated strategy. It does give us access to different kinds of funding, but any one of the installations can also get their own funding directly through OMB and other resources. So I'm going to pass through the other slides and let you know that there are some resources and references here on the back end, which some publications, also some accomplishment reports, and a little bit about each one of the projects that I referred to. So I want to stop here and kind of go back to the actual map of North Carolina and our Sentinel landscape designation, and then just see if there's any questions that you all might have for me, or if they're with our other partners that I need to follow up on.
Thank you so much for your report. This is so interesting. It's taken me back to my days of being on the Soil and Water board. Foxler was around then, and he still is. So
he still is. Yep.
Yeah, it's still there. So commissioners, are there questions? Commissioner Burns.
Dr. Adder, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I do Zooms all day. It's only during the county commissioner meeting that we have this. I think it's because you all have put a tracker in my home, so I got to call Greg Morrow. Dr. Adder, I'm starting to take this personal because I feel like you're following me. I really am. It wasn't until I looked at the agenda and I saw this. So I don't know if you remember, but back when, let's see, Ryan Orndorff, if he's still there.
Yes, he is.
Yes, I was your liaison at USDA.
Oh, that's
and when I went to DMVA, you didn't want to leave me alone, but I passed you along to Ariel Aponte. I remember we were in Jordan Hall. I said, leave me alone. Don't bother me no more. And somehow you just up and decided. What do you want, Dr. Adder? What do you want? I'm kidding y'all, but every job I've had, she's popped up. I don't have any problems with this project. I don't know the numbers now, but I do know back when we were working on this in 2017, 2018, nationwide, you all had saved something like, I don't know, 300 million acres of land. And we were working on seeing how we could integrate conservation plans and landscape plans with military readiness. And we were trying to move birds off of Fort Bragg because they were landing. So encroachment is very real. One stat I do remember, I don't know if this is a problem in Butner right now, but I do remember that around military bases, when we think about housing developments, they're 80% higher than what they are in other areas. So we're, Durham is growing. This is a group of ladies who actually does appreciate a good conservation plan. They do love the environment. I love the environment. We do love our farmers, and we want this area to be a place where folks can practice and where people can train. So I don't have any problem. And I also know the support that comes. Back then, I think to even save all those acres, we had the USDA had put in about 690 million, and other partners did. So this isn't something that always comes and takes a bunch of money, but it's kind of a win-win, and we get to protect land, we get to protect our installations, and we can enter into conservation plans if I'm not mistaken. So, and we get to save the animals, because then the animals start to go on the base, and then, because they're not in neighborhoods anymore. So Dr. Adder, I hope, I don't know what my boy's gonna say, but I'm in support of us sending this letter, and just let me know where you're gonna follow me next. I got to go to the grocery store tomorrow, so just let me know where you're gonna be at. And
we might as well just work together,
Right. So I'm gonna stop there because I know I'll let my other colleagues go. But I've worked with Dr. Adder for a while, and I didn't know she was gonna be here tonight. But I appreciate everything you do, and go bother Ariel and leave me and my friends alone. Have a good one.
So Deborah, my understanding is what is requested tonight is a letter of support, and you will put that letter together.
Yes, we just wanted to get your agreement as a board that you were in favor of support. And then
Okay.
we will put the letter together. I'll work with Jane Forrest as well. We'll
Okay.
make sure the wording is proper, and we'll have it ready for your signature. I think the deadline is August 26th, if I'm not mistaken, but we certainly want to get it in before then.
Yeah.
Okay. So are there other questions from commissioners? It's Commissioner Jacobs.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just want to say thank you so much for this presentation. I didn't know anything about this program, and it was really interesting. And I think this is a great opportunity for Durham County. I'm glad you mentioned Jane Corus, Deborah, because we have a great open space and real estate manager who is always pursuing funding opportunities to help farmers do conservation easements. We have great also Ryan Eves, our stormwater manager, who's also looking for ways to help us protect our watershed. So I think that any opportunities we have to bring together resources that are going to create a win-win situation for Butner and also for our property owners is just, and our farmers, is going to be fantastic to leverage resources. So I thank you for bringing this to us, Deborah, and I definitely support moving forward with this.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments from commissioners? Okay, I don't see any hands. Okay, so we can, Deborah, we'll expect to hear back from you, and thank you so much for the presentation tonight.
Thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Adder.
Thank you, Deborah. Appreciate it. And we'll be following up.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Good night. Commissioners, we are down to the end of our agenda. We want to thank the public for participating and watching and listening. And the board is requested to adjourn into a closed session for the following: to discuss matters relating to the location or expansion of industry or other businesses in the area served by the public body, including an agreement on a tentative list of economic development incentives that may be offered by the public body in negotiations, pursuant to GS 143.318.11A4. I will entertain a motion for a closed session.
Madam Chair, I move that we go into closed session for the reasons stated.
And a second?
Second.
I was moved by Commissioner Lom, second by Commissioner Burns. Roll call.
Commissioner Alam.
Aye.
Commissioner Burns.
Aye.
Commissioner Carter.
Aye.
Vice Chair Jacobs.
Aye.
Chair Howerton.
Aye. So we are moving into closed session.
the library.
Okay, Jay, what beach is that?
I'm trying to remember. It's a picture I took a few years ago. I'm trying to remember, was it Pine Knoll Shores or Cherry Grove?
And so is that sunset or sunrise?
That was a sunset. I'm thinking it was Cherry Grove, if I'm not mistaken.
And just came in. There we go.
There we go. Okay. So I'd like to announce that the board met in a closed session, provided directions to staff, and I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So move, Madam Chair.
Okay. Moved by Commissioner Lum.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Carter. Roll call.
Commissioner Alon.
Aye.
Commissioner Burns.
Aye.
Commissioner Carter.
Aye.
Vice Chair Jacobs.
Aye.
Chair Howerton.
Aye.
All right.
We are adjourned.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you, everyone.